show you guys what's in level K of Sonlight Language Arts, everything that's included and how I teach it. Let me show you what comes in the pack. So firstly, we've got our teacher's instruction guide and the worksheets your child will use. Now they come in loose sheets with a 3-ring binder with a bit of a cardboardy cover. But all of these are just papers and I separate them week by week with the teacher's manual and all the student sheets so that it's ready to just pick up and go for the week. That is teacher and kids sheets. Comes with these fun tales, which are little books that are really humorous and my son loves them. There's, I think, 26 of them. They come numbered. I'll show you an example one. So this is book 20. You start from week 9 onwards. This is what it's like. It follows the phonics that you're learning throughout the course, obviously. And they're always fun and silly and they've got little characters. My son's been loving them. You also get sound cards. I've laminated these. There's also lowercase. Has a picture that connects with the letter. There's a lot of different games and word making that you use with these. I really like them. For fun, they also have included a Go Fish game. We haven't used it too often. I think maybe just once or twice. So I definitely am going to be using it in our own time to learn letters. I love that idea. They've included a bingo game with little markers. All my kids play this and find it really fun. It is fantastic for my preschooler all the way up to my year 3 daughter, connecting letters and uppercase, lowercase sounds. It's awesome. This has been a really fun game for all the kids. They also have included these pictures that match each letter because one of the things they do at the start of every week is choose a letter sound and then you do stick the pictures that match the letter. I do a scavenger hunt with my kids and hide this around the house each week. They've really enjoyed that and that goes alongside the picture dictionary that they use each week. This is the picture dictionary. Now we've actually not used it very much with my 6-year-old because he is very aware of all of his sounds and their letters and their names and their sounds. So this is a little bit unnecessary for us, but we've picked and choose what we've used. And I think if you're introducing a child to the letters and the sounds, this would be a beautiful thing to do to go through at the start of each week. Finally, we did choose to do the addition of the Explode the Code books, and they have been fantastic for my son who's a hesitant writer and hesitant reader because again, short, simple, very playful, very fun. So there's book A, I'll show you a little flick through. He's completed most of this. Then there's B. For each letter, it has, he loved this. This is where I have to ask him riddles for which one matches and he has to quickly find them. Really enjoyed that. This one, he actually zoomed through these 1 week each because he's way beyond this. So he's now doing the proper Explode the Code #1 book, which is much more his level. Let me show you an example of what I do each week. So from my big binder here, I will open up to the correct week and take out that specific time slot, week slot. And then what I'll do is I'll actually create my own schedule because I'm doing a makeshift version of this course. I'm doing 2 weeks in one. So I'll take one out that just looks like this. And then I'll look through this and choose what do I want to do on my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, using the first week, and then Thursday, Friday will be the second week because he's already done quite a lot of kindy stuff. He's excelled in that. However, you could easily just do this in 1 week and have a beautiful, gentle, slow time together. I'll show you what's inside one of these. So this curriculum can actually be a pick up and go curriculum where you have this next to you and your child just does what you ask of them next to you. However, I personally do like to read the teacher's manual beforehand because there's quite a lot of good juicy information teaching me as the teacher. And I love just being more organic and having that in the back of my head and also picking and choosing what we use because some of the things in here are skills like cutting skills or more mind games, which I love. Not all will work for him, but 95% has, even at his level of being a 6-year-old, because I can tweak it. So I want to show you a basic rhythm. As you can see, these are the letters that they've learnt so far. They go through the letters in a very specific order and match the readers to those letters, which I love. Now, if you were following it like normal, on the first day of the week, which would be Monday, you do the first picture dictionary I showed you and do the reading from O. I then would do a scavenger hunt with my kids with O all around the house and then they just write the letter O and stick them on. We also write a silly sentence with the letter O or make a sentence with the O objects we've stuck on the page. Then they've got optional get set for the code. So this week they've got no assignment because they've given extra O worksheets, but usually it just gives you a few pages each day to do. We don't follow their schedule. We just go at my son's own pace. He does 1 or 2 pages in his book. They've recommended handwriting without tears. However, I've seen that not necessary for him right now. His fine motor skills are fine. And I do think as a boy that will develop later. And right now, even as they tell you in this manual, you can be the scribe for your kid and they can grow in that later if they're not up for that yet. Fun Tales, he would read this book all week long. So number 8 is Hot Bob. Again, because he's a little advanced, I do 3 days a week on each book rather than the whole week. So he only does a few days on the book. And then this is the part that I love. It's the creative expression. He does Copywork 2 days a week on Monday and Thursday. This is a 4-day-a-week program. And then he's got his Copywork application, which he actually does on the same day as this because it's just a few grammar questions that he does to the sentence he already wrote. I'll show you an example. And then he does a creative writing each week and he absolutely loves this. So I'm his scribe for this. He doesn't need to write any of it. I will actually type it on the computer, which he thinks is amazing. And I print it off and he draws pictures for his creative writing and then gets a little book at the end of the year with all of his creative writing ideas. But they have been so smart in this curriculum to think out fun ideas that I've absolutely loved. They're different each week. And he really enjoys that. Now, going back to this section, after you've done your letter picture, when you move on to day 2, with day 2, so Tuesday and Wednesday, they always have some sort of cognitive game or activity. And it has made my son love learning and love his English because it's not just a workbook where you write A million times or everything's dry like Copywork. They have these interactive parts that he finds so fun. So he'll either use his letter sounds to create words, or we've done Simon Says, we've done mind games where he has to do picking things up with different objects and categorizing items and run around the house and find things. They're super fun, and I'll explain what these ones are for this week. So yeah, let's have a little look inside and see what those extra activities are. This is what the Copywork is looking like. So at this stage, this is almost halfway through the course of kindergarten, and they'll have just 3 or 4 words. They've started with just letters, now they're on to actual words, and they'll end with sentences near the end of the year. This has been fantastic. It's so low expectation, but it's getting them to correct each of their letters properly, use proper punctuation, and we're discussing constantly capitals, names, different punctuation, things like that. And then if you see their Copywork application that they say, they give 1 day for this and 1 day for this, and that's it. I love that. Such low need for these kids. Sorry, I've got pizza all over my hands. Low need for the kids, which breaks off that pressure, but it's getting through really important skills every single day to build their understanding. So for example, the grammar work would be circle 2 words that rhyme, underline the word that talks about something you would sleep on, and put a box around the word that rhymes with cod. This changes every day, and they have a little picture that will connect in some way. And then the Copywork for the end of the week is that pot is hot. And then he'll write that. And then this is for his creative writing of a well-known character. So we'll read the assignment on the teacher sheet and I'll type that up on the computer for him. Let me give you a little insight to what this teacher guide looks like. So when you turn the first page, it's got a little guide at the top of what main things we're going to be focusing on this week. And then it explains each thing. So we've got language and phonics activity, which is a memory game. So it'll explain to me and they'll actually give you the game together. Say these things. Now, I don't read off the script, but I will pre-read this and then do it with him. So this is memory, the tree. Then the next kid or sentence say the old tree, the old cook tree, because we're talking about adjectives and how to describe things. So this is a game. Then another day is this memory game, which is I'm going on a picnic. And then they explain it here where you're going through the alphabet of things that you'd bring, A, B, C, and it's saying, I would bring an artichoke. Then the next kid says artichoke and banana. Then you say artichoke, banana, and cactus. So you're going up in the alphabet and memorizing. This is a little activity you can draw with, use those letter sound cards, which is making words, which is fun. This is explaining to you how to do the Copywork with your child, how to explain things and go in depth of what they're doing. This is a little letter recognition game. It's full of games every single time, but really things that I can grasp quickly as a mum and then do and not feel like I'm getting all these props for. This is then talking about the creative writing. This is getting your kid to think of a character they know really well, and then you have to act it out as the parent and they retell a story with that character. That's what we did this week. Another time they might say, imagine you woke up and you were as tiny as an ant, or they might say, get a picture book you love and retell the story to mum. There's lots of different things. And it's just explain this in another optional game you can do where you tell the kid each of these story sequences out of order. They need to tell you back in order. So they're thinking constantly of different holistic ways that a child learns and breaking their brain apart to problem solve within English and work on their auditory learning, work on sequencing things together. And like this is teaching them how a story is formed, but without just saying write a story every day. They're breaking apart a story and like doing little fun quizzes, and my son loves it. Here's a little example of how I plan our week. Now, there's no need for this. If you're going through it just 1 week at a time, it's very simple, very calm way to do English with a little guy, which I just love. But this is me trying to do these 2 days is week 17, I think, and these 3 days is week 18. So we've got, this is what I've got some preschool stuff, but here is like, he does a reading doc app, then he does the memory game, draw card game, Copywork, and then his explore the code. And then this one, we've got the picnic game, explore the code, creative writing, and his book is Hot Bob. So yeah, it just explains what he does, and pretty simple. It takes maybe 15 minutes a day.